All right, hello everyone. Welcome to What the Hell Happened this week in digital marketing and social media. My co-host Andrew is not here today, so I am taking the reins and hoping to be joined by co-host Vernon Ross. He should be on shortly. So we're going to jump right in today because there is a ton of things going on. So I think I'll just start with LinkedIn. So LinkedIn earlier this week went to, actually last week they announced that they were going to make all of their groups private. So they started rolling this out, I think yesterday, and now anytime that you jump in or want to join a LinkedIn group, you actually have to ask permission to be in the group now. You have to get approved to be in the group. They're trying really hard to make some changes on the LinkedIn group thing. And now if you were in a group already, you were just kind of grandfathered in. So basically they just changed the access to the group, but they did not change, they didn't kick anybody out that was already in. So that's good news. But, kind of interesting. I'm interested in seeing how it goes. I think they're making a play on the Facebook groups, which is very popular. Lots of private groups out there, lots of people that are charging access for those groups, things of that sort. So they also came out with an app, I think yesterday. Unfortunately, it's for the iPhone only. I'm actually going to pop a link in here for everybody that wants to get to that. It's only for iPhone right now, but you can download a new LinkedIn Groups app. And it has some cool things. It notifies you if there is, some updates, things like that, which I think was a big problem before. That was really hard to kind of follow threads through and things like that. So this new app should help. It's not available for Android. I also tried looking it up on my iPad and did not have luck finding it. I didn't look for the iPhone version, which is probably what I could have done, and then just use that, expand it out a little bit like that. But I'll just wait for it to come out. I'm sure it won't take them too long to get it out for Android and for iPad. So that's it for the LinkedIn groups. I wanted to post a link in there for everyone about the LinkedIn going private in case you wanted to check out that. So let's talk about Facebook. So couple things going on this week with Facebook as well. They've done some new things around something called Facebook Notify. It was just coming out. Actually, it hasn't come out yet. There's a bunch of rumblings about it. It's coming out. And what it is basically is it's going to let you know about the latest news. So a couple weeks ago when the new iOS came out, we had it on the show. We actually talked about the news icon that shows up now on the iPad and iPhone. So the really cool app, you click on news, you can customize it, you can get just the news you want, and it's gaining traction wildly, I think. So Facebook is coming out with something very similar. It's called Facebook Notify. And they haven't really said what it is yet, but everybody's pretty much thinking that it's going to be something similar to Twitter Moments, which just came out last week, I think. So, it's the latest things that are interesting to you, the latest news, things that are trending that you need to know about, kind of like your morning newspaper, I guess you could say. The Facebook Notify, some people are saying it's going to be the Twitter Moments killer. I don't know about that. I mean, I think it's two different platforms. I think it's two different sets of users too. Not everybody that uses one uses the other. So I think that, both of these will work really well. It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. And once it actually goes live, to kind of get around, play around with it a little bit. So that's it about the Facebook Notify. The other thing that they've come out with now is a new shopping tab, which is going to show up in a lot of people's Facebook apps, things of that sort. And that should be really cool. So they're actually starting to partner up with e-commerce places where you can actually purchase items without leaving Facebook. And that's probably the biggest 3 words in that entire sentence, without leaving Facebook. So they're actually coming out with a way where you can find a product, you can shop through them. When you see one that you like, you can click the pay button, buy it now, and you never visit the publisher's website. So we're starting to see a huge trend in this same way where, there's the Twitter buy button, which came out a couple weeks ago. There's starting to be this trend where you're not having to leave the platform anymore to interact with certain brands. And of course, over time, it'll be pretty much all brands if it works out. But, the idea of going on Facebook and being happy with that network, there's a lot of people that are really excited about Amazon and they purchase from Amazon. They're Prime members, and anything that goes through Amazon, there immediately is a trust factor there. Some e-commerce websites have pay by Amazon buttons on it where you can actually pay. You can click to pay on that particular website, and it'll pull in your Amazon information, your shipping addresses, your credit cards, all that stuff. And because of that, vendors are seeing an increase in sales because of that trust factor related to Amazon. So I think the same thing is going to happen with Facebook. You don't have to go visit the website. You don't have to click on anything to deal with the shopping cart, especially when it comes to shopping carts and mobile situations. Sometimes that's fairly difficult to do. So kind of interesting to see how they roll this out, what it looks like. And I actually posted a link in the chat there that you can see some pictures of, I think it's Target, if you wanted to buy a dress, how you can do it without ever leaving Facebook. And kind of interesting, we'll see how that goes. I'm going to paste in this picture of this example for everybody to check out if you want to. That'll be interesting to see, how that goes. So let's see. Facebook came out with something called lead ads. We've talked about this in a couple of the past shows. The lead ads is basically another way that you can show ads to people for your brand, but the people that, the visitors don't have to leave Facebook in order to interact with you. So basically you can set up something like a lead magnet, a free download, click here to join the newsletter. There's a lot of different things you can do. But when the person clicks on it, instead of being redirected to your website to fill out whatever information they have to download that product, Facebook now actually just pulls up a form right there inside Facebook that pre-populates your name, your email address, and any other information they're asking about if Facebook already knows it. So that's going to be pretty crazy when it comes to, once again, people not leaving the platform in order to interact with you. So the lead ads are still a little clunky when it comes to interfacing with a CRM system. So for the vendors that are putting the ads up there, you still at this time have to physically log into Facebook and download a CSV of which files, of which leads have come in that day. Then you can take that CSV file and stick it into your CRM at that point. There's no way to automatically do that at this point, but I'm sure that that's coming very soon. But once again, the idea here is to get things done on the social network platforms without the person ever leaving that platform, which is pretty crazy. So I see we got Vernon. All right, Vernon, I've opened up the seat if you want to jump in. Hopefully you can see the button there and get you added on here. That'd be great. So I've been talking about the Facebook lead ads.
Hey.
There he is. How are you?
Yeah, sorry, man. I got called into a meeting at the last minute. It didn't go any way that I thought it was going to go this afternoon. So
it's all good. I'm glad to have you on here. So I was just talking about the Facebook shopping tab that they're talking about putting on. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Yeah, yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've seen over the past probably, and I'm grabbing my mouse. So sorry guys for the moving around, but I ended up getting stuck in the car. But as you can see, for people that hate when people blab, I'm parked.
Oh, that's good.
I'm not moving, guys. So I'm parked. I'm not violating any laws or safety stuff. So I hate it when people blab from the car and they're actually moving and they're doing this and they're cursing in traffic. But I digress. To get back to the Facebook stuff, I've seen a lot of marketers over the past probably 2 or 3 years, maybe even more, come up with these shopping cart solutions for Facebook. And it's always been, really curious that people are trying to integrate shopping directly into the Facebook experience so that people don't actually leave Facebook. Facebook likes it when they stay, but I've seen a lot of that activity from marketers, and I think it's probably just an inevitable thing that Facebook tries to integrate some type of shopping, into the whole Facebook experience to keep them on the platform longer.
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned earlier about how comfortable people are with Amazon, for instance.
Yeah.
And anything that you see, there's a segment of people that if there's something Amazon related, there's an immediate trust factor there. And some third party, some e-commerce sites are adding pay by Amazon type buttons on their sites, things of that sort. And, the entire thing is going to be the same with Facebook. I think just the fact that it's in Facebook, I can click a button or two and buy something.
Right.
I definitely see that, it's a good move on their part, maybe not such a great move on, for e-commerce type people that are now having to publish their things on another platform, which is a little bit insane.
Right. As long as there's a way to, I guess, maybe integrate your Etsy or maybe for eBay sellers or something like that, that might be helpful. And those people may see some benefit from it, but, only time is going to tell.
Yeah. Hopefully they hook up some sort of a feed, kind of like Google Shopping has, where it just pulls in your stuff and there's an immediate shopping, not a cart, but a business page or something like that with all your products. So
yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So that's one of the big things with Facebook. I also mentioned the Facebook Notify, which is the new thing with the news they just came out with, where they're trying to, I think they're trying to compete with the iOS app. Have you seen the iOS app for news?
I have. It's interesting. I don't use it.
Oh, no. I do. You know what? When I first saw it, I was like, oh, what is this? And I clicked it and I realized I can immediately customize it to digital marketing type stuff and baseball, which I'm really into baseball. So, a lot of those things are all in one place. I'm sitting on my iPad in my lazy chair. I can just go through and get the latest news. I think it's pretty cool. So
I may have to start using it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So the Facebook Notify, I think, is kind of a way of them trying to get into that same space. Have another platform or another system where you can get news fairly easily. So it'd be cool to see how that comes out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So let's see. The other thing we talked about LinkedIn groups. What did you think about that? Because I missed that part of the conversation. I think it's interesting. Yeah. So LinkedIn groups, they announced last week that they were going to go private.
Right.
Then I think yesterday or today they said, okay, everybody's cut off, so they're all starting to go private. And at the same time, they came out with an app. Have you downloaded the app?
I have. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of cool that I don't have it because I don't have an iPhone and it's only available on iPhone right now.
Right.
Us Android guys are like,
what's funny is it's one of the reasons I switched to iPhone, because every time there's a change in social, it comes out for iPhone first.
Right.
And I'm like, come on, you guys are killing me. So, you can try to do it on an iPad, which usually works, but sometimes it's quirky and you don't have it if you're on the go. So I figured, okay, this time around, my 2 years is up. I'll switch to an iPhone. But I've got an Android, and it's fairly new, so I use that as well still.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so from what I've heard with the app, the LinkedIn Groups app, that it does give you some notifications. It lets you
It does.
have threads now, which is kind of cool. I know before a lot of
Right.
things were kind of just discombobulated everywhere.
Yeah.
And one of the other things now, it lets you tag people, which I think is a huge bonus. It was something that you
Yeah.
couldn't do in the past. So
Yeah, definitely. It needed to be added. I got quite a few emails from other group owners because I own a fairly large group. I think it's 2,800 members or so.
okay, what is
it's like
it?
it's called STL Connected. It's a networking group for people here in St. Louis, and it's specifically people from St. Louis. I won't accept members outside of the metropolitan area. So St. Louis, Illinois, just in this area, or if they work in St. Louis and maybe live somewhere else. But it's a big group. But I've been getting hit with so much spam from like real estate agents and marketers and everyone else trying to promote, which I don't have a problem with self-promotion, but in the groups, it's just like, oh my God, come on, you're hitting me with so much stuff. Well, what I noticed is a couple people were throwing out links and I had like 10, maybe 15 things in moderation. And I'm like, well, I didn't put those people in the bad, I'm got to watch you, and everything you post list.
Yeah.
LinkedIn actually did it for me because the post looked spammy. And so they were like, hey, we held these for moderation, held by LinkedIn. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. So you just look at it, decide whether or not it was, release it, or just delete the post. So, I mean, that was interesting. But I got a few emails from other group owners that were kind of angry and like, oh, this is bad and it's going to change everything about groups because they got rid of all the subgroups.
Yeah. So let's talk about your group. So now they've actually put a little bit more work on you because now you have to investigate everybody that wants to be in that group and see if they're really from St. Louis. You have to follow up with them or check out their profiles, or there's some steps now that they've added to you.
Yeah, I was actually doing some of that before
in
my group because I didn't like I don't like spammy groups. And the group actually started as another group. I don't know if you remember the Best Damn Networking Happy Hour. Way back when. It was, I don't know, probably 2007, 2008. I ended up taking the group over from somebody else and changed it to Connected STL.
Okay.
And, I didn't want it to get to the point of where everybody was from everywhere and it didn't make sense for St. Louis. So there's only a few people that are not from St. Louis. I ended up moderating the group and getting other people to moderate. And it's a lot of work to manage a group that large and try to keep it clean. Yeah,
I can imagine. And, since you're physically tied to a location with your group, like I said, there are some steps to verify, who the members are, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a little bit insane. So, all right, let's jump over to Twitter. So the big thing that came out with Twitter was that you can now upload videos from your desktop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I'm not a huge Twitter user, so this is not necessarily news to me. I didn't know it wasn't possibility before, but apparently it was a big thing that people complained about.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a site that I talked to the Regional Arts Commission about a couple of years ago called Tout, TOUT, and it was pre-Vine, what's the other site? Pre-Instagram. It was all before all of those, and you could upload a 30-second video straight from your phone. You could brand it however you wanted to. So you could go in, pre-edit the video, do whatever you wanted to do, and then upload it to the web. And it never took off. And then Instagram came out with 15-second videos and pretty much just killed Tout. And I'm like, oh, wow, that sucks. But the thing with Instagram adding video now, it's like, oh, well, not Instagram, Twitter. It's like, oh, wow, you can add video directly to Twitter from your computer. So you could put a branded, stylized video straight from your PC, a promo, whatever you want to do, and then upload that thing to Twitter. So I think it's an awesome thing.
Yeah, I think it gives people a lot more control over what they're putting up, because before they had to use their phone, take the video, move it over to desktop if they wanted to edit it, then get it back to their phone so that they could upload it. That's a bit of work.
Yeah, there's all kinds of silly stuff you had to do with it. So I don't know. I'm gonna mess around with it this weekend. I've got shooting some video promos for a show, so we're probably gonna upload them and push them out on Twitter because I'm a big Twitter user. So
Okay.
we'll see how that goes. I think it's a good thing. The reaction to it so far, from what I've seen, has been fairly positive.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, that's good. So let's move over to the Pinterest place pins. Have you heard about this?
I have. I don't know much about it. I was looking at a quick article on it. I'm like, oh, okay, another Pinterest thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So
glossed over it.
So I don't know a whole lot about it either, but I will say this: there's an app called Roadtrippers, which is pretty cool. If you're going on a road trip, you can pull up this app and it'll tell you different things that are along the way. So things that are interesting to see, or places to eat, or things like that. You can read reviews of people that have put things up. Well, this is kind of the same thing that I think Pinterest is doing. They're actually giving you the ability to create boards related to a road trip or to a certain place. So you could create one about St. Louis, and then people could review the different restaurants, things like that. And they've partnered up with Foursquare. So you remember Foursquare?
I saw that. Yeah,
everybody
I do.
Abandoned years ago,
right? Man, I put so many Foursquare stickers on people's businesses. It was insane. So,
right.
One of the things I used to do with small business when I was doing a lot of work with small business consulting is we would get them registered for Foursquare. Right. The problem is that when you did that, you had to have them call the actual place, and there was a verification process, and then in like 2 or 3 weeks they get one of these Foursquare stickers. And as we were going around sticking up these stickers in all these businesses, I noticed, I'm like, well, there's no real branding here for the business. So we would end up making up these stickers and QR codes when people were still using those. And yeah, I remember Foursquare.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that Pinterest has teamed up with them, and I think it's going to maybe bring a resurgence to businesses needing to be active and update their profile on Foursquare, which is, like I said, they signed up a couple of years ago and they probably abandoned it because it didn't do anything. So it'll be interesting to see how Pinterest kind of pushes people back towards that, or maybe they don't. I don't know. Right.
Well, Nordstrom's does quite a bit with Pinterest, and they actually have these little Pinterest tags on their products. So last year during Christmas shopping, I was walking through a Nordstrom's and I saw I think it was a Coach purse or some wildly expensive item, and it had a Pinterest thing on it, and it had a QR code for you to scan. So I went over and scanned it, and it took me out to their Pinterest page. I'm like, oh wow, this is interesting. And they had models with the different items, and it would show ladies basically, here, this is how you can wear this, and this is how you can do this. And I was like, oh wow, that's interesting. So now with a location thing, they could do an entire maybe shopping trip or something like that with Pinterest, or a restaurant review where people get to look at every item on the menu, stuff like that. And it's integrated with Pinterest and Foursquare, and there's some type of maybe gamification with it again. So it could be a really, really good thing that they're doing. I haven't had a chance to really look into it.
Yeah. I'm interested in checking this out. And, I would say most of their demographic is still female. So it's probably going to trend towards that as far as, like you said, the purses and those shopping type items, because they also have promoted pins. Right. So it's interesting to see how all this starts to integrate together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So speaking of Foursquare, they actually came out with some news this week. There's somebody, once again, we don't talk about very often, but they came out with something called Trending This Week, which, you're talking about Facebook coming out with this new news app. iOS 9 comes out with a news app. Now Foursquare, of all people, is coming out with something called Trending This Week. We've got Twitter Moments, So it's interesting to see how all these networks are really doing a push towards news. And, as if the newspapers didn't have enough trouble already. Right. Now people are going to be able to consume their news however they want on whatever platform they're comfortable with, without ever leaving that platform.
Yeah, so, it's interesting. It's really scary for traditional news. This past Saturday, I did a thing with LinkedIn for journalists, because there's a in the journalism community, there's a lot of print media people that are finding it hard to actually continue to work because they're getting replaced by bloggers like HuffPost and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting that so many people are getting into the news business.
Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a little bit crazy, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, right?
Right.
So I think the last thing I wanted to talk about actually is not news related. Wow, that's kind of crazy. And it's Dropbox. So they've actually introduced something called Dropbox Paper, which kind of interesting. We'll see if it's, from what I understand, it's a way to collaborate on documents and things of that sort. Seems to be very similar to Google Docs, for instance, where you get different colored cursors and people can modify documents on the fly at the same time. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting. I think it's going to compete a little bit with Google Docs, maybe. But I think what it does is it makes Dropbox more useful than just a place to throw documents.
Yep.
And because you can, throw any type of document in this thing and then share it. If I want to throw a large MP4 file or video file or whatever I want to do, I can throw it in there and basically take advantage of the fact that it's there. So, I mean, I think that's awesome. And I could be sharing stuff with a team or whatever I want to do. I could do it with that platform. And I mean, it's a good way to share and collaborate. So I think it could cause the Google Docs a little trouble just because you can do pretty much anything that you want with it.
Yeah, and they've already got Dropbox for Business, where you can collaborate and have different people on there at the same time. I know some people only get so many user accounts, so they're giving out that account to other people so they can share those sort of things. So
right.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So did you have any other news that maybe I missed?
We talked about the LinkedIn groups thing. I thought that was pretty interesting. And what I've been seeing as far as on LinkedIn, with all the stuff that's going on LinkedIn, people are starting to pay more attention to it. So I think that it's going to, I think that's really going to make people pay even more attention.
Yeah. And maybe this is a play or a way to get people more interested in the advertising side of things, which is still pretty expensive at the moment. I think a lot of people are avoiding the ads on LinkedIn because of the price.
They are.
But if you can get into a group and then advertise to that group, maybe it would be worth it because you're already familiar with the demographic that's there.
Yeah, I think it's going to help clean up groups a lot. Another thing when we're talking about ads and Facebook, did you happen to get into the Facebook part about the publishing on Facebook?
Yeah, you know what? We talked about it on Friday of last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that in some notes that you had, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting too. It's once again something where you can publish things out there and people can read your blogs and things like that. And it seems to be the theme of the day. They don't have to leave Facebook in order to do so.
Yeah, right.
To put your content up there. I think from an SEO standpoint, it makes me a little bit leery because if that stuff is indexed, then maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's not a good thing. Who gets the authorship, those sort of things.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that more of the platforms are moving towards the stay here and experience the internet. We want to suck your brain, basically, keep you here on this site. The rest of the internet does not exist.
Right. Yeah.
It's a little scary because Facebook is doing that where they encourage you to stay on the platform as much as possible.
Oh yeah.
And so if you can send someone else to something else on that platform, you just fare much better. So you have to find a different way to monetize your website, which kind of highlights even more of what I'm sure you preach to your clients and what I preach. You have to develop that email list because these social media sites they have advertising to sell. Their business model is get a bunch of eyeballs and ears and everything else, and then we're going to sell advertising to them. We don't want to send them to your WordPress website or whatever site you want them to go to unless you pay us lots of money, and then maybe we'll send them there. So,
Yeah, I mentioned the lead ads earlier too, which is where
Right.
you can fill out a lead, you can fill out that information, ask some questions, and Facebook will give that information to you. But at no point are they sent to your website to fill that out.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a lot like the Twitter leads thing, because Twitter has it in their advertising space where you can let people to fill out a lead. At least you can have them go to email capture, or they will forward over to your website. But
Yeah,
yeah, Facebook is just being greedy, I think.
yeah. I mean, you're paying for the ad to put up there to get that information. And at the same time, you can add in custom questions, and we talked about this last week. But the custom questions, basically, you're paying to give Facebook that information.
Right. Right. It's like, hey, let me pay you to give you information about my customers.
Right.
Let me do all the work and you get all the benefit. Thank you, Facebook.
Yeah, that's terrific. Oh, yeah.
I think they have in their thing to try not to be evil, but
yeah,
pretty evil to me.
Yeah. Well, listen, we like to keep this right at about 30 minutes. So I really appreciate you jumping on today and co-hosting with me. I know it was kind of short notice, but
No, it was fun, man.
Oh, all right, everybody.
I had different plans, but you see where I am. So.
Yeah. Well, everyone, thanks for jumping on. And we do this every Tuesday and Friday at 12:30 Central. We call it What the Hell Happened, because, by the time Tuesday gets here of next week, everybody will be wondering what the hell happened over the weekend with all the social changes. It's amazing when I go to put all these different notes together, how many things you can talk about over the course of just 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, just on your note sheet, dude, I was like, oh my God, I've got like blog posts I can talk about for the next month.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like, ooh, topics.
Yeah. So by the way, anybody who wants to find out more about or wants to see any of our past things, you can go to redcanoemedia.com/whatthehellhappened, and you can see all of our past episodes there. So Vernon, I appreciate you being on today, and hope you have a great day.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. It was a blast.
All right. Take care.
All right.